We have ourselves to blame, not our fault. Why they rape the vote on election day? Don't throw your vote away.
Of let we fix this. I hear you say, let we fix this. Let we fix this. And we started last week. I mean, we were in ripping form last week. I don't know, those of you, all of you that were here last week, everybody was here? I find you all singing kind of cold, you know. The way out today was hot. You should have been sweltering in here by now. But this evening promises to be another fascinating evening as we continue to share with the community of Tobago and wherever else Tobagonians are found that support what we are trying to do. We are preparing for another fantastic time to hear from our political leader, to hear from the chairman of the party and so on. And we're not going to waste any time. We are following all the protocols and all of that thing. And I feel the electricity in here this evening already. I find Paula there saying nothing. I say, I feel the electricity in here. So right about now, I want you to make some noise. Put your hands or your feet together as we get ready to welcome our very first speaker for the evening. He is in the person of the chairman of the PDP. Let's put our hands together for Dr. Sean Ned.
Patriots, we stand with you, equipped and ready to set Tobago free. PDP save us from pain.
Everyone, welcome. Let me fix this. So as customary, I always take time to take appreciation of the persons who come out and our membership. So I first want to thank the people of Tobago for taking stock of what is happening in front of you, because this here is historical. I want to thank the PDP family, because without them, we won't be here. All our persons waving their flags, becoming candidates, nominations, all of those people, we appreciate you. I want to thank the members of our various arms, all those persons who became executives on our action groups. Because of them, we're able to keep this party together and functioning in a way that is keeping us strong and is getting us ready for a third election in 2 years of the existence of this party. Of course, I want to thank the members on the National Executive Committee with whom I work to keep this party together along with the members under it. And then we have the two speakers tonight as well. We have our DPL Augustine, who is the what we would call our chief sec elect, and we look to him for leadership in that regard. And of course, the person of the hour, our political leader, Mr. Watson Solomon Duke, who we must pay homage to in this party. So what I want to do is to go through a few things as it relates to PDP, and it's important for all listeners to take stock of this as they look at this party and judge us in what they expect us to do as we wish to actually lead in this island known as Tobago, and perhaps the whole nation. So I want to start with this quote that I often use. Fall down 7 times, get up 8. And I think that quote should resonate with everyone in here. That speaks to resilience. And I think that directly speaks to this party. After 2 years of struggle, after the movement of this political leader from an independent to now a 6-6 deadlock, I think you have to say that this party is resilient. Now, of course, we have our leadership, and we have shown leadership in various regards. We have done various drives. In fact, the other side would have tried to copy us. So we would have done the seedling drive. We would have done fix your roof, right? We're right now doing the bread drive to help feed and sustain people in this time of need. And of course, right now, it is a time of need where everyone is suffering in some regard, from the common person to your businessman. Everyone needs some sort of aid at this point. This party has been consistently growing, right? From the inception of the party to the formation of its action groups, we have found the membership of this party constantly growing. In fact, what you see are persons who are normally neutral in society coming out and speaking on our platforms because they feel as though they have a place where they can actually voice their opinions. I think that might be novel. So this party is constantly evolving and integrating. Not only have we started from the one person, Mr. Duke, but we've moved on to now a small party, and we are transitioning to a larger party where we begin to interact with persons on an international scale. And when you reach that level, you will be surpassing even the parties that are running in this country right now. And that's red and yellow. So one thing to say that you would note is that all demographics, all persons in society are more and more supporting the PDP because they realize they actually have a home with us. All right? That is key. You must feel comfortable speaking with your leaders. And even with that statement, you see that even with the 6 disrespected assemblymen who are doing their jobs so well without being properly instituted inside of the executive. And they must get a round of applause for that. So the status of Tobago. And this is where we remind you, let me fix this. So I have 5 sections of disses that has been going on here. We have disenchantment and being disheartened. It is seriously disheartening if you are a person that would have noted 20 years of inactivity and lack of growth in this island. And for someone who is young to see that, they don't know where they're going. The best thing that they can hope for is a walk in the THA. And I don't think anyone in here with families and children want that for their own progeny. And then their children, and then their children's children. That is what we're doing here. This is a generational fight that we're on. The next disoriented and dysfunction. This is what we're seeing here. You do not have a direction, and as such, people are confused about what to do. In fact, that means people leave the island known as Tobago, and there's a brain drain across the whole island. And as such, we can't develop accordingly. There is a general dissatisfaction, disapproval, and disappointment that is going on here, where people do not know where they're supposed to go, what they're supposed to do for basic things, basic services. For example, if someone in your family passes, do you know what to do? Do you have any idea? That simple question is lost on many people. So there's dissonance, and I'll speak to one form of dissonance, cognitive dissonance. It is a problem when you, on Saturday or Sunday, are praising your values, your morals, etc. And then on Monday, you fire somebody because they are of a different party color. I think something is a bit wrong with that. Something is a little off, right? And we can't have this continue if we are really serious about being together as a group of Tobagonians, a land, and even a nation, because this applies in Trinidad as well. And the last is disrespectful. In general, everything I just said there is fully disrespectful to you as Tobagonians. And you must have it stop. Going forward, this is what we must go for. Now take heart. There are some positive versions of this that I would like to bring up quickly. Discipline. One of our watchwords, very important one. It means that when we know where we're going, we stay on that course and we get it done. I see that happen every day in this party. And we want to bring that into the THA and into the fold of Tobago and for Tobagonians. So they actually have a vision of what can actually occur and not stay in line with the nonsense that is occurring right now. We must also be discerning. Discerning means you must also have a character of humility. You must also have good judgment. So when you look at a situation, you don't say, let's go and get some boats from Australia. Now let that pause there. Right? If your problem is management and mismanagement, do you go and get boats from Australia? All right. Another is discovery. Discovery speaks to exactly what you want to do going forward. You're looking forward and you're figuring out what you need. You're discovering. It's for those creative persons, right, who can have a vision and bring it forward and have us discover new ways of life, new ways of existing. And we must encourage that. We must encourage discovery in this island. Then the next one is distinguished. Distinguish and distinction. When you have people from Tobago who have a pedigree that you should respect, and then you go and say that they are washed up, I have a problem with that. And I hope you all do too. I think when you have people who know how to fix certain problems, you should allow them to actually impart that knowledge in this society known as Tobago. The last one is distributor. Distributor. What does that mean? We must be able to link with the members of the community and figure out where best they can be. So one example would be if you're a farmer and you produce, we should be able to distribute your produce accordingly and make money for you as well as the island. Simple concept. All right, so to bring it home, our readiness for election. So right now we are completely ready for this THA election. We would have had our political leader open and show that the office is ready and is open. And he has been meeting with people in the streets, inside of the Port Mall, and we are ready to begin this campaign to fix this. The action groups are fully operating. If you haven't seen an action group around in Tobago, something wrong with you. The action groups have been raising money. They have been doing what they're supposed to do to impact their community. They have been campaigning. They have been on the ground talking to everyone, all and yeah. We are fully engaged in our campaigning, and we will continue to do so until the election bell is rung, and the following day we win. We are committed to meeting all persons. This is not going to stop. All the way through campaigning, victory, and then on to representation. We must keep this mentality going, because that is exactly what you want to see from any group trying to lead this island. So, coming to the end here, I want to bring up this statement. The PNM is disqualified from even running in this next election. And I want to be clear about that, because that's a strong statement, right? If you are leading in Trinidad and Tobago, what is the main thing that you must make sure? That the democracy is kept proper. Now, I'll bring up two aspects of democracy that has been violated. There's a moral responsibility for choices and decisions about government policies. These are unfinished, mismanaged, unmaintained, and unjustified. Basically everything going on in Tobago currently. I'll give an example. Mount Irving has a drainage project. Drainage project looked real nice during elections. Have you gone and taken a look at it? So somehow you can't calculate how much money you need to complete a project, but you want us to vote you in to continue doing that. You're disqualified, correct. Manta Lodge, just one of them that our DPL constantly brings up, right? If you purchase anything under the guise of developing tourism, and then you don't go about the work of maintaining it and making sure it's functional, what are you really doing? You are wasting funds. You are wasting the time. You are wasting taxpayers' dollars. And that must stop. You are disqualified. Remember that Auditor General's report? 50 plus allegations inside of that report. That hasn't gone away. The question is still there. Where the zip line? Where they? We still don't know. We got assurances. Nothing has panned out. And yet we're going into another election. So the last point about democracy is political equality. Every entity that has been voted in has been done so democratically. And as such, let us look at what has occurred currently. We are in a 6-6 deadlock right now. And there has been no attempt to resolve this deadlock. We have seen the Prime Minister, right after inauguration, state that there shall be no kumbaya with PDP. And then afterwards state that he is not influencing the movements and actions of the Tobago branch of the PNM. Does that make sense to anyone here listening? And as such, when you have the Prime Minister, and then you see actions in the Parliament, and then you see actions by the so-called Chief Sec, and then you see actions by the President, you have to ask questions. There's no attempt to resolve issues, and as such, they are disqualified. Democracy is at play here, and it's undemocratic to behave in such a way. So with that, let me make an announcement. This is a very important announcement. we now have nominations available. Nominations are opened, and they're going to be opened on specific days. It'll open online on Sunday, the 26th September, this Sunday coming. All right, if you feel as though you wish to bring your part to the development of Tobago, come forth and become nominated. Put yourself forward. So the 26th of September to the 2nd of October, note those dates. Nomination forms will become available on the PDP's online platforms later this week. Screening will occur. The screening of candidates will occur right after. So October 6th and to the end of October 9th, we will have screening. All seats will be screened for. So let me end here, and let me make a few statements just to conclude. The PNM is disqualified from running. Let's make that very clear. The PDP is ready to lead. The PDP has proven its ability to lead. And the PDP will rise where you need and want us based on your help. What does that mean? You have to come out and vote. This is a challenge to everyone listening to come out and vote. We cannot accept a 50 to 51 or whatever number percent voter turnout. All right? I think everyone now realizes just how important these elections are. So it doesn't matter. Come 12 seats, 15 seats, 100 seats. It doesn't matter. Come out and vote. And give us a chance to actually build a better Tobago, our original tagline. And with that, let me fix this. Thank you, everyone.
Nothing must stop you. Say, Satan may attack you. Yeah. He's gonna back you. Yeah. All right. Let's put our hands together one more time for the chairman, Dr. Sean Ned. Giving us some updates, some D's, some positive D's and some negative D's. I mean, a blind man with board glasses could see that the PNM has disqualified themselves. We didn't disqualify them, they disqualified their own self. You understand? And I think that we are poised in perhaps one of the best place in this time and season and the history of Tobago. I need to say that again. We are poised in perhaps one of the best time in the history of Tobago. And we are very, very glad. I personally, I am elated. I feel electrifying. I feel all kind of super califragilistic, as a matter of fact, that I am a part of the progressive democratic patriots as we seek to bring a different type of governance to the space that we call Tobago. Last week we started in ripping form and we heard the prospective one, the candidate that went the last time for Canaan, the Canaan Bonaccord area. And no matter what name they change it to, we still believe that if this candidate gets the nod, he will be able to win in this community. Mr. Joel Nutsi Samson, make a little noise for him. Oh, yes. And then we had the gentleman from the east, the deputy political leader, Mr. Fali Augustine, a bright young man. I say bright, a brilliant mind, a man that is dripping with sagacity. I feel like if I boil a dictionary and drink the water. But I want you to make some noise. Put your hands on your feet together. Help me welcome the deputy political leader, our brother Fali Chavez Augustine, as he will give some words and introduce our political. Make some noise.
I'm holding on in order to stay around in a life therapy imbalance. For it is nature's way until judgment day. Weakness ain't got a chance. Playing strong cause I realize the price little one must pay. Good evening, PDP family. Good evening, Tobago. Somebody told me that there are no Tobagonian that is PNM. Only a confused Tobagonian will be PNM. All true Tobagonians are patriots and they belong to the Progressive Democratic Patriots. Tonight, I want to start by asking you a philosophical question. You see, the PDP platform is not the platform for just ray and loud noise and bacchanal and flag waving and whining down low. This is a platform to educate people. And so if you're coming to a PDP meeting, you're coming for education. There may be some entertainment, no doubt. Because as Brother Duke loves to say, some Wowie and some war for Wowie. But I assure you that this platform is about educating the Tobagonian so that we will no longer have any confused Tobagonians, but we will have true patriots of this 116 square miles. And the philosophical question I want to ask you this evening is, what happens to a dream deferred? What happens when a dream gets put off? What happens when a dream doesn't happen when you want it to happen? What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up? Just like a raisin in the sun? Does it fester like a sore foot? And then run? Does it stink like rotten meat? Or does it crust and sugar over like syrup is sweet? Maybe it sags like a heavy load, or maybe it just explodes. What does really happen when a dream gets put off, when a dream is deferred? And tonight I want the average Tobagonian looking at this broadcast to ask yourself that question. What really happening to the Tobago dream? For how long will we continue to defer that dream? To defer that dream because we have some cousin running in the election. To defer the dream because, well, it's a nice lady, and yeah, we know they ain't do nothing for we, but I gotta give them an next chance. Will we defer the Tobago dream again because my granny did belong to this party? Or my great-great-grandmother did vote for this because Eric Williams did give me a house from umpteen how long? Do we continue to defer the Tobago dream, cut off with nose and spoil with face, because somebody has some unreasonable expectation of us? I want to tell Tobagonians tonight that every single society, ancient and modern, has had to grapple with this question. What do you do with a deferred dream? Every single society. I mean, if you go back to Joseph in a pit, or the Jewish nation in Egypt under captivity, they had to sit and ask themselves the question, we have this promised land, what do we do with a deferred dream? If we go to the Egyptians themselves in their beautiful stone temples made with technology we cannot even explain today, they had to ask themselves that question, what happens to our deferred dream? If we go to the Greeks, sitting in their city-state, ruling from the ecclesia, they had to ask themselves that question. The Romans sitting around the Pantheon had to ask themselves that question. Modern societies like the United States on Washington Mall had to ask themselves that question. And tonight, Tobago, I want you to ask yourself that question. The same bread and butter issues that we are preaching from this platform are the same issues that you have deferred. You have deferred them. What happened to the dream for having an education system in Tobago that is second to none, where our child, our brightest minds can confuse the world and rule the world? What happens to the dream that healthcare must mean wellness, and that all our way and dropping over, dying from diabetes and hypertension and things that we could treat? What happens to the dream that you could drive from Charlottesville to Crown Point and your old ring road ain't got bent up before it reach Roxborough? What happens to that dream? What happens to the dream that you have to ensure that we can sustain ourselves with food, so if the boat ain't sail, we ain't gonna starve? What happened to that dream? What happens to the dream that Tobagonians abroad will have a place to come back home and they will feel proud to come home and live, and that Tobago is more than a place for a little Christmas lime with your family, is more than a place for a parang, but a place where you could set up shop and do business? What happened to the dream that foreigners could come into this place and believe like we do that this is the most beautiful island on the planet Earth? What happened to that dream? That dream got railroaded by a Red Brigade, and I'm telling you tonight, Tobago, we have to fix it. Let me fix this. And while we don't have no great pantheon to sit down in, no ecclesia to sit in, no stone temples like the Egyptians, we have a workshop. And yes, the workshop might look crude, like most workshops around this island. Build out a galvanize, slap on some paint. It ain't look sophisticated. And it's not meant to look sophisticated, because we have to do the real dirty work of fixing this island. And when we say let we fix this, it means that every Tobagonian must make up their mind to get their hands dirty and get down and work towards fixing this island called Tobago. We have to fix this place. Yes, the workshop ain't sophisticated, but I ask you tonight to trust the progressive democratic patriots. Because when we finish leading this island called Tobago, I guarantee you there will not be any more a confused Tobagonian on this land. And Tobagonians will know where they're going, will feel proud to stand up for something. And tonight, on these series of meetings, I have the humbling task of introducing to you, Tobago, a series of bright minds, of people who will be candidates, of people who will be technocrats, of people who might run some state boards, of people who will run some community groups, of people who will help us govern this island. Because this PDP platform will not be a platform for only those who are trying to run for an election. It will be a platform so that you Tobagonians can see all the talents we have in Tobago who are sitting right here and ready to fix this place called Tobago. Last week, I spoke to you in general terms about what we need to do. And this week, I want to introduce the first man in the workshop. A workshop has different roles in it. Some people might just be in charge of fixing the tire and lubing the tire and making sure the tire working good. You may have an electrician inside there, the man who go hook up the thing to the computer and see what's happening to this car. You may have somebody in there that might be a good painter. You might get a good straightener inside there. Not might, this is a PDP workshop. So we have the best painters and the best straighteners and the best electricians inside here. And so tonight I want to introduce to you a master mechanic. Someone who had a dream for Tobago, like all of us, who was able to convince us to pull our dreams together and fix this place called Tobago. Because it's one thing to have a dream home in your bed, or sitting where you are sitting tonight, typing comments on Facebook, being a keyboard tiger. But it's another thing for us to pull our dreams together and fix this place. And this man had a dream for this place called Tobago, because he, like most of us, were fed up of this place. Fed up. He didn't need to come to Tobago to offer it. In fact, like most Tobagonians, he could have chosen to live abroad. He could have chosen to call that island 11 miles from here his home. He could have chosen to go there and not look back. He runs a union that has more people in it than it has living on the island of Tobago. And they try all kind of things, all sorts of allegations. They make up what they know about. They write what they know about. They walk Tobago, they spread falsehoods. They try to throw him in jail for all kind of things. The last thing being sedition. But, you see, when you come from Tobago, and might I dare say, don't feel no way, tongue people. When you come from country, you're not afraid nobody. And you will take the fight to anybody. And so he has been taking the fight to them. And many people have asked me, Wafali, why you dare sit down with this guy by your side? Why you ain't leave? Why you ain't do something else with your life? And I want to tell you tonight that perhaps if I had chosen to do something else with my life, I will not be here. I may not even be offering my talents to Tobago. But it takes a real one to find a real one. And it takes a real one to persuade people like me and Dr. Faith and Miss Hackett and Joel Notzi and Whitey and Dr. Ned and Abby and Mr. Cowan and Miss Megan and all the others to come out and stand up for something. It takes a real Tobagonian, a patriot to do that. But more than that, he has done something that no other political leader in the history of Tobago has done. I have read all the books. I've read all the accounts. I Googled everybody. And I could tell you from James Bigard to A.P.T. James to A.N.R. Robinson, and certainly not Hutchoy and Orville, and definitely not Tracy. Not one of them will ever step back and say, you might be a better man for this job. You go ahead and I will support you. Not one of them. And I will tell you something tonight that you may not know. Last year, I offered the executive of this party my resignation. I said, look, this thing may not be making sense. Or you could do this without me. And when this man could have said, okay, fine, go your way, he insisted, he called, he found time to meet with me. Even when I refused the phone calls, he still consistently called until he eventually got me. And he said, look, I am still backing you. I am supporting you. Tobago is behind you. And I want to tell you that kind of magnanimous leader does not exist anywhere else on this island of Tobago. So when they talk and say all kind of things, it's because they don't know the man. And you don't have to agree with everything he says or does. You don't have to agree with all of his strategies or techniques. I am certain some of you don't agree with everything I say or do either. But one thing you must agree with is that he is a patriot. And in this workshop, he's a master mechanic. And tonight, he is going to be one of our candidates for sure. I could say that for sure. And I will tell you that he will also be one of those leading the charge to ensure that whenever they call the election, they could call it in October, they could call it in November, they could call it in December. One thing we show off is that Tobago will get a Christmas gift. And that is to see the backs of those people and the dawn of a new day. And we will start 2022 together, hand in hand, to build a better Tobago. Let me fix this. And so tonight, Tobago, let me introduce to you Mr. Watson Solomon Duke. Welcome, comrade.
In collaboration with AC.
The technocrats are for you. We will fight for you.
The handwriting is on the wall. PNMU Empire. It done fall. Tobago. The Be a person you see today. Don't worry, tomorrow they'd be gone. As war surrounds Jerusalem, so just surrounds Tobago. PNM let his people go. PDP's patterns face off with fear.
Let me see your fight, let me see your fight.
We fight for a change. Tobago, we need a change.
Thank you.
We will fight for you.
Colleagues, I want to thank Deputy Political Leader, Assembly Farley Chavez Augustine, Assemblyman Farley Chavez Augustine, for such a wonderful and well-poised introduction. It would be difficult for a plane not to take off after it has reached 2/3 of the runway. It has to take off. Tonight, as the master mechanic, I want to let you know we are going to fix Tobago. Yeah? And so when I say le, remember, say the le, not let's. Le. Let me say le. Le. And I'm training the Trinidadians who don't know how to speak Tobagonians language what le is. Le. We fix this. Not this. This. You have to learn it. It's the first time we have had a slogan, a theme in the local colloquial language. Yeah? Let we fix this. When I say that, I want you to say no. Let we fix this. Let we fix this. Now, someone told me Dr. Keith Rowley just tuned in. And I want him to hear the numbers we have here. So when I say, let me fix this, shout out, no! Let me fix this! Thank you. Yes, I just got the message. Now I have just a short time because we are keeping this thing tight. Obviously, I'll be here other nights. I don't intend to be exhaustive, but I want to say that the current state of Tobago is in need of dire fixing. And it's not a job for Watson Duke. It's not a job for Farley Augustine. It's not a job for any one person. It's a job for all our way. All of us must put our hands together and fix Tobago. Now you have heard all type of half-baked ideas and misrepresented ideas and ill-informed ideas about Tobago. One of the things that you do not know is that Tobago has changed hands 34 times. Now I don't know. Any woman out there who has had several men fight over she, go know that she gets something good going on. I know that. I've heard the comments. I've never been involved, but any man who have a woman a fight over them, get something good going on. All right? Anytime people fight for anything, motor vehicle, land, whatever, no, it is something that is valued by those who fight for it. Not so? So don't come tell me that Tobago has nothing and Tobago can offer nothing. This belongs to us. We made the journey from West Africa, yeah, the transatlantic journey that took months to reach here. And when we got here, this became our home because we were slaves. Folks, most of us here might be some 4th generation or 5th generation of slave, but my great-great-grandfather was an African slave, and I could tell you, they said his name was Gudala. Learn that name, Gudala, you must know your history. Gudala wasn't that easy, man. I wouldn't tell you about that Gudala tonight. But if you understand your history, you will understand your strength. Know your history, Tobago. The Africans in Tobago are different from the Africans in Trinidad, Jamaica, and elsewhere. All of us are really one family. Let me let you know that. So when we say let we fix Tobago, it's because Tobago belongs to us. Tobago not working properly, and therefore we have to fix it. There is no choice in the matter. If there is any one thing we must commit our minds to tonight, is fixing this whole thing here. Because we must fix it because it meant something to the Dutch, the Colanders, the Spanish or Spain, the British Empire. These were empires, right, folks? Yeah? The French, yeah? Called people. They have fought over Tobago, right there in Scarborough. The French and the Dutch fought, and it's one of the largest grave sites in perhaps the Caribbean. The amount of ships that were buried there, when they were excavating for the Scarborough Harbor, they said they dug up some cannons that was in pristine glory. You talk about copper, you talk about bronze, oh, perfect. They said some of the wood from the ship that they dug up was in perfect condition, folks. The seawater was preserved thing. That's what I'm saying to you. So the history of Tobago is right here. And so we must not be afraid to fix what we have, because what we have has caused the European power. Every European empire at the time fought for Tobago. It changed hands 34 times. Not a country in the Caribbean, one island in the Caribbean has changed hands so many times. Put your hands together for Tobago tonight. Folks, some people just put the sign up downtown, but they can't read. So if I ask them what it means, they don't know what it means, because they just love bright lights and style and to spend our money to eat our food. But when I see the sign, that sign to me echoes something that is buried deep within me. My love for Tobago. I want to ask you tonight, do you love Tobago? Let Rowley hear that, because he only loves his sheep. Or if I get technical, I would say he loves his sheeps. Folks, do you love Tobago tonight? That's right. We are in love with Tobago. This is why we attach the appendage, patriots, to our name. We could have just said the Progressive Democratic Party. Some folks try to rob us from the full essence of our name. We're not into that. We have given it its full meaning. A patriot is someone who loves country. All right, folks? You hear me? And so I have to lay this foundation tonight. Because when we say we want to fix Tobago, some people may say that's crazy, it's impossible. The people in Tobago want nothing. Tobago can't do better. But we are an eternal optimist. We believe that we can fix it, and we are getting on our knees, we are getting on the ground. We are going to do every single thing over the next 2 to 3 months to present a plan to Tobago in the form of a mandate of how we will go about fixing Tobago. Now, apart from Tobago being the object of desire of the European nations, Tobago was also an interesting country. At one time in England, wealth was measured or evaluated by a particular slogan. Research it on Google tonight. When you hear the term rich as a Tobago sugar planter, are you the term right? Rich as a Tobago sugar planter, it meant you're well damn rich. I was afraid. In London in particular, London is always a busy place of commerce and law and that type of stuff. And that is in 1800s. In the 1800s, folks, when they say you are as rich as a Tobago sugar planter, they mean you're well damn rich. Now, they didn't say rich as a Trinidadian sugar planter, or rich as a Barbados, or rich as a Ghana, or rich as Jamaica, or rich as even as Haiti. Rich as a Tobago sugar planter. Yeah? It says something about agriculture. Sugar was introduced to Tobago in the 1700s, 1774, somewhere around there, but became the main item of export in the year, well, around 1790, somewhere around there. It became the main item of export. And the estates were producing tons and tons of sugar every year and exporting it. Tobago had several ports. Tobago was a place that had its own economy. For a man to leave England, quite in London, and come down here to work agriculture and become rich right here, and to coin a new name for wealth, rich as a Tobago planter, then it says that something good was happening in Tobago. I want you to understand that. Because sometimes they just tell us, that nothing good will come out of here. Agriculture dead now. But I want to draw a nexus between the sugar crop, its success, and the collapse of the sugar industry and the ruin of Tobago's economy. During that time, from the 1790s to about 1880, Tobago did well with the cultivation and the export of sugar, etc. Very well. Sugar was like gold back then. All right, and coming to in the 1800s, we had problems with Haiti, and so sugar was going good. But understand this: in the 1800s, we had the abolition of slave. Remember that? The abolition of slavery by the Abolition of Slavery Act. That was 1834. Remember that? 1833, 1834. Yeah, that was important because then they couldn't bring men from abroad again to come as slaves and drive them. They could only come as workers, all right? Not as slaves. Slaves, you were the owners of those who owned the plantation. But as workers, you were not their owners. You were not their servants. Well, you weren't owned by them. Are you with me tonight? I'm going somewhere with this. Then come 1876. This is a Tobago story. It's very important. 1876. Where they were workers, not slaves, workers in Roxborough on the plant estate. There was a riot over wages and trucking system and different things, and a corporal by the name of Belmana came down, a white man corporal, to break up the fight. He shot and killed a woman by the name of Mary Jane Tom, and she died. And those who were working on the plantation, the workers, wouldn't take that. They wanted blood. Long story short, they took Belmana to trial, and the people didn't allow him to stand trial, because when he went to the Roxborough Magistrates Court, and they said, carry him to the High Court in town. Before he came out, they seized him, overpowered the police around the place, killed him, and began to set the place afire in Roxborough. My four parents were part of that. I will go on to say this. After that, to quell the riots in Tobago, it was something reflective of Haiti, because they knew of Haiti before. To quell the riots in Haiti in 1776, they sent from Tobago to Grenada via boat, to send to Barbados for a naval fleet, British naval fleet, to come back to Roxborough and suppress the riots. The riots were suppressed, people were arrested, some died, etc. It took 5 days of rioting. Now, that's important to the economy of Tobago and the governance structure. Back then, Tobago governed itself, its own constitution, its own judiciary, its own treasury, everything, its own public service, etc. Tobago had that. However, at that moment, there was a turn in the thinking of the British. In September of that happened in May 1876. In September of that year, they changed the constitution. All right? And they then had Crown Colony rule. They pulled that back. And the Queen was not ruling. There was no longer anybody being elected to any position in the THA. And immediately after that, I'm trying to speed it up. Immediately after that, in the year 1818, sugar collapsed. Why sugar collapse? They introduced beet sugar in 1880 throughout the entire world. It was a cheaper form of sugar, and people were buying it, and so there was no need for the sugarcane sugar, and so the sugar industry collapsed. More than that, the West Indian Bank closed. That was a bank that would give people loans, etc. Closed. So without funding and without that proper support, the sugar industry in Tobago closed. From that moment onwards, Tobago was on the road of becoming a tragedy among the Caribbean nations. Understand your history tonight. A few years later, 1880 that happened. In 1889, they said, we can't manage Tobago anymore. Let Tobago become a ward of Trinidad. Let Tobago become an island that will be taken care of by Trinidad. And so from then to now, Tobago is still a ward. If you look at the new constitutional amendment bill called the 2020 bill, right? That bill speaks of creating equality of status between the island of Trinidad and the island of Tobago, and Tobago will no longer be called a ward. Folks, I want to say to you tonight, there's much to be said, but we are keeping this for an hour, so I'm only giving you a tease. All right? If you understand our history, agriculture was killed because of the riot, because they had no more slaves. And if the workers fighting and getting on and burning down the plantation and killing people, why fight up with agriculture? They don't have to take that. They abandoned the thing, went back to British, lump you with Trinidad. Trinidad say, what? Nah, forget agriculture. Even in the 1930s, they attempted to fix agriculture in the 1930s. And Tobago was exporting hundreds of thousands of produce, folks. Hundreds of thousands of produce to Trinidad. Right? Hundreds of thousands. You could check the book, the Bulldog and the Bocas, the Bocas and the Bulldog, something like that. Check the book and you will see there. Yeah? Hundreds of thousands of produce. Agriculture was going well. That's when Tobago used to feed Trinidad. But then came Hurricane Flora in 1963. And the tragedy for Tobago continues. In 1963, there were 7,500 houses in Tobago. Much I say? 500 houses in Tobago. But after Hurricane Flora, which is one of the deadliest Atlantic hurricanes in history, with winds of 193 kilometers to 250 kilometers per hour. Now, the maximum speed you could drive on the highway is 100. But if you have a car, a fast car, a big engine car, the maximum could go is 250. Now imagine you mash right down to the pedal and your car running like that. That is the speed of wind coming. It killed 24 people and destroyed, of the 7,500 homes, it destroyed 6,250 homes. My mother told us a story that at that time where she was living, they'll come out of the house because I bought house. People had bought house those days, and they went on that concrete house. But something tell them move from the concrete house. And as they move and they went across back, concrete house fall down. There are pictures of it, which we're going to put up in this live. You're going to see it, of devastation. Tobago is a place that has known tragedy. In came the Williams Party, obviously. They got money from the US to fix Tobago. They never fixed Tobago with the money. Check that out. They got millions to fix Tobago. And back then, the plan was to build a highway from Crown Point straight to Charleville and do many development, because Tobago was literally flat. When you have 7,500 homes and 6,250 has been completely destroyed, and you will see the picture of what we're talking about, you will understand Tobago was worse than Grenada with Hurricane Ivan. And yet Grenada came back. They took the money and they did what they want to do with it, because Tobago was a ward. You know about the story about Cinderella? Huh? And Cinderella was treated as if she was a ward until somebody said, hey, you're no ward and you're the princess. I want to tell you tonight, as I get ready to close tonight, Tobago, you ain't no ward. You are a princess. And here the PDP is coming, and we will be trying every single foot out until we get the right fit. We want you to come with us, because Tobago must take on the adorning where it stands among nations, because you are of value. Lift your chest, Tobago, walk proud. Talk your language. No bother with them. That's part of your culture. Understand your culture is different from Trinidad, and I make that quite plain. So when I'm talking in Trinidad, I'm talking publicly for the PSC, let us use the local language. And they just like it, you know. Trust me, they like it. They like it. And in this campaign, we decide, in going forward, we will do something unique. So our team is not, let's us fix this. No. Let we fix this. When? So as I get ready to close, I remember I'll continue some other time again. As I get ready to close, I want to say to you, let we fix this. I'm not hearing you. Tobago is in a broken down place where we have been pillaged by the PNM and its cohorts and its agents. They're fooling us and blind us and rob us of education, every single thing. And they tell us that good for you, that good for you. Not now, but since way back when. I am a son of some slave. Farley is a son. You are a son. You are a daughter of slaves who came here. They will turn in the grave if we turn our backs on Tobago. Tobago, as how she may look right now, not dressed up, when Tobago is dressed up under the PDP, will look attractive. When we dress up Tobago, Tobago will look attractive. So as I close off tonight, I will say 3 times, and I want you to say no. Tobago, let me fix this. Tobago, let me fix this. Tobago, let me fix this. I thank you, Tobago. We will fix this.
Yes. In collaboration with Izzy.
The technocrats are for you. We will fight for you.
The handwriting is on the wall.
Let's say it one more time for political leader Mr. Watson Solomon Duke. There's a wind of change that is blowing, and we are just so happy that we are part of this change. Put your hands together. Thank you so much for coming out to the meeting this evening, and we shall see you again next week, the same time, the same place. God will help us. God bless you. Have a good evening.
It done fall. Tobago, the oppressors you see today, don't worry, tomorrow they'd be gone. As the walls surround Jerusalem, soldiers surrounds Tobago.